Welcome to the Instructor Chronicles Raw and Uncut. We actually just finished a really exciting weekend with many of our instructors here at Happy Horse Haven, and I am joined this afternoon by a very well-known instructor. She is originally from Switzerland, but is now based out of the United States. She's competed in many different sports, show jumping, cutting, reined cow horse, as well as doing many fantastic demos with multiple horses, Liberty and bridleless. Please welcome Elli Pospischil.
You got it.
Did I say that right, Elli?
You did.
I was practicing that.
100 points.
Yay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So you've had a couple pretty famous careers. So I wanted to start off this interview asking you, working with horses and working in the horse industry, is that something that you always thought you'd be doing with your life, or did you think that you would do something different?
Kind of, sort of. When I was younger, I really wanted to be a jockey.
Oh.
Yeah. Not sure where that came from, but then also I never stopped growing, and so I kind of naturally had to give up on that dream because, you know, what jockeys look like compared to me. So much shorter. And then after that, I actually wanted to become a pilot.
Oh, wow.
So something completely different.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have taken some involuntary flying lessons off of horses.
Cool. Oh, not cool.
So no, it was not something that I've always pursued. Also, growing up the way I did, it wasn't really in the books as such, or predestined, or any kind of tradition in our family. So it's something that I probably sought out unconsciously, and then it just happened. And yeah.
What about racing and being a jockey, like, drew you to, is that like just what you saw with horses, or?
Yeah, probably. There's a little bit of a racing culture in Switzerland, and I guess it was just something that we did as a family. It was on Easter, we would go watch the Easter races, and they would have Easter egg hunts for the kids and pony rides. So maybe that's the only way I saw that I could get into horses at the time, but yeah.
And then what was your other career that you did before working in horsemanship?
Yeah, so many lives. I was a professional snowboarder.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you find that there's any parallels between snowboarding and what we do with horses, or is it completely different?
I feel like it's completely different. Yeah, it's you against, whether that's the half pipe or against the other racers in a border cross situation. So yeah, there's not too many parallels, I don't think, other than the competitive aspect of it. Whether you compete on a snowboard or you compete on horses, there's that similarity, but the whole aspect of having another thinking, breathing, feeling animal with you rather than just an inanimate object, is that the right word?
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Yeah, adds a whole other
so
level.
I got that out of my system, and
then on to horses.
Yeah.
When you started your horsemanship career, because you've been doing this for quite a long time now, were there any moments where you ever thought about quitting and either going back to snowboarding or just doing something else completely?
No, once I got into natural horsemanship, I was pretty set on becoming an instructor and making that my life, really. Actually, I was probably 4 or 5 years into it, and then I went to spend several months at a time and it all accumulated to being about a year with a Swiss Parelli instructor as a working student. And so my goal for those periods of time were to find out if that's really something I want to do 24/7. And the answer was yes.
And you've been doing it ever since. That's pretty smart to like put yourself with someone who's doing that as a career, so you could really like live it and breathe it and see if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, worked out for me.
Yeah. What do you especially love to teach? What's your favorite thing?
I love it all. I love teaching groundwork. I love teaching riding. I love teaching cow working. Really, there's no one thing that I love doing more than others. I think the combination thereof is really what makes this special. My personal passion is Liberty and more of a freestyle aspect, like bridleless riding or bareback and bridleless, or Western disciplines, which are more freestyle disciplines. These days, that's what I enjoy doing. But from a teaching aspect, what I love is the teaching and the helping horses and humans progress together. And it doesn't matter so much what subject matter it is to me. It's more the big picture thing.
The teaching aspect.
Yeah.
Have you always been a good student yourself, or is that a skill you've had to develop?
I like to think so. Like up until through high school, studying came pretty easy to me. Or you pay attention in class, you take notes, and then you don't have to study so much at night. But except for maybe physics and stuff like that. I was never really good with math or science. So I like to think that I'm a good student. Obviously, there's always room for improvement and different learning strategies for myself. And I continue to seek learning situations as much as I can, because I feel like, it makes life interesting, and I love variety, and it makes me a better teacher as well. So,
like when you put yourself in those different situations?
Yeah.
Like, or I guess continuing to put yourself in a student role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually, I just started to play golf.
Oh, really? That's cool.
It's interesting, and it's super hard.
What made you decide to take up golf?
Well, because it's something my significant other does, and it's yet another thing we can do together. And I like a good challenge.
Yeah.
I like a good challenge. And actually, it has a surprising amount of similarities to horsemanship.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, in what ways are you finding?
You can't overthink it. You can't make things happen. You got to be in the moment, and just let the ball get in the way of the club. Those kind of things. So
interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool. What is the toughest student you have? Like, what type of student?
Oh, it's Susie Q from down the road.
Yeah, no names.
Oops. Did I say that out loud? Was that my outside voice? The toughest situations for me are when there's a big mismatch between the horse and the human, whether that's skill-wise or temperament or age, personality, those kind of things. That's tough, because then both the horse and the human have to really come a long ways to make it happen, make the magic happen. Whereas if it's more aligned, whether with goals or dreams and purpose and fit, then it's a lot easier to shape that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I'd be the last person to tell someone to unmatch with that horse.
Right.
So I'll try to make it happen as long as it makes sense and they can be safe and get to a place where they can be happy and have fun together. But I think those are kind of the toughest situations. However, like, got to rise to the occasion. And become or show up for the student that needs you. And
when you're in that situation, like, have you found any strategies? Do you focus more on either the student or the horse, or it's really a balancing act of helping the two of them since they're mismatched?
Yeah, it depends. My mantra is to empower the student and not necessarily take over the horse unless they send it to me for training, and then I would train the horse and then teach the human and put them back together. So if everybody can be safe and successful, I'd like to focus more on the human than the horse. But yeah, for sure, there'll be times where I'll take over the horse and demo something or fix something, and then empower the student to do the same.
Yeah, to be able to do it. So in Happy Horse, Happy Life, we're all about happy horses, having a happy life. That's really our principle. So when we think about our students, what do you think it takes to have a happy student?
That's a good question. What does it take to have a happy student? Well, for me as a teacher, as an instructor?
Yeah, or even putting yourself in the student role. Like, what do you think a student needs to feel happy and successful? Either maybe from the teacher, but then also as a student.
A willingness and an openness to learn and to the subject matter, and maybe letting go of preconceived notions or past experiences. maybe with that horse or maybe in different learning situations. I mean, we've all probably had teachers, whether that's in a more scholastic school environment or around horses, that weren't quite up our alley. Or even with instructors or horse instructors, coaches, trainers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
What I like to do if I'm seeking out a new mentor or coach for a certain discipline, for example, I would go watch them teach and see if I like the teaching style.
That's a good idea.
With the human and the horse.
Right.
And then see if that aligns with my principles enough to where I would want to put myself in that situation, not sacrifice my relationship with the horse or something that I've built. And same thing as a student or in a student situation. Like I said, I'm kind of a learnaholic. I like to try new things. So I'm always open to learning things. No matter whether that's with horses or without, I like to try different things. So in order to be a happy student, I think the student needs to be able to be empowered enough to where they can apply what they learn and also have the knowledge or enough information that they can go play with whatever concept that is and not just be micromanaged by the coach. So I think that's a big part. And then also some praise and recognition.
It always helps.
I don't mind if a coach, whether that's at the gym or wherever, is tough on me. You can
take it.
Perform pretty well under pressure. I've had lots of practice. But me as an instructor, I like to think that I'm that I praise my students so that they can stay in that learning frame and not be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, too much pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure where all you feel like everything you do, no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's important to feel successful, I think, even when you're struggling a little bit as you're learning.
For sure, because the horses by nature will probably make us feel like we're struggling enough, so we don't need our coaches to have us
add that
extra.
Yeah.
So in a clinic situation, create a welcoming, all-inclusive environment, and we're not here to beat up any horses or pull on the reins and kick them with spurs or whatnot. It should be a open, friendly, warm and fuzzy learning environment, so that we can all learn. And have fun together.
Yeah. It's a vulnerable place to be, so that is very important.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just talking to one of the ladies who rode this morning with all our eyes on them, and she was like, "That was hard." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so hard to be in the spotlight."
Yes.
Whether there's an audience of just one, your instructor or your coach, or more, or a judge or a camera or whatever. That's a hard place to be. I was telling Linda the other night, I still have videos on my phone from riding with her last fall.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's right.
that I still have not had the guts to watch.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, it's a very, very vulnerable place to be, which is one of the reasons why I seek out those student situations to put myself into on a continuous basis, so I don't end up being on a high chair like this one and end up looking down on people and losing touch with the student or the student situation.
I think that's so important, like you said, just to become a better teacher. You've had a lot of experience in that performance mindset where you have had all eyes on you. You've had to perform, whether it's been at Savvy Summits or competing. Do you have any strategies that you use to either calm your nerves or help you stay focused?
Yeah, I do now. I didn't at first. And I've had people comment on my spotlights that are all on my website or on YouTube, and how they've changed or how I've changed, even just watching them on the screen over the years. I was pretty nervous on the first one with 2 horses that I did, and plenty of things went wrong or not as planned.
Yeah.
But I've come to the realization that the more I'm there in the moment for and with my horse or horses, then I can do right by them. And it doesn't, I mean, obviously, I have an ego too that is hard to check at the gate when there's an audience, but obviously I want to do right by my horse, and then, you know, have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C if things don't go quite as planned, just like if you would audition for anything in front of a camera or a judge. Treat the horse or that shows up, or handle the situation that shows up, and just really, the horses do so much for us, right, as it is, and to be able to maintain a relationship and partnership and connection through the whole thing. Obviously, you got to have enough of that built up before you go perform, but to really be there in the moment, and then, you know, see what happens and what shows up. And
then just be willing to go with the flow if it's not perfect.
Yeah, and it's never going to be perfect, I don't think. Then you don't, when you're done with whatever it is, say a cutting show or a run in a cutting situation or a spotlight, and then when you're done, then you know what to do differently next time. So
I guess putting yourself in that student role again, like constantly learning and working on how can I improve.
Yeah, when I first started show jumping with my mare in Switzerland, I got so excited. I loved him. Like, I'm going to go here and here and here and put all those dates on my calendar. And so, like, obviously you wouldn't go too much, but I would go like every other weekend or so, and sometimes back-to-back weekends, and then I didn't even have enough time in between shows to fix the holes that I found the previous show, the previous weekend. So, yeah, all within the limit or a balance.
Right. Good learning. Who have your mentors been, and how have they influenced you?
Well, I would say my biggest mentors have been Pat and Linda Parelli, and continue to do so. And I mean, how have they influenced me? Like,
that's a loaded question.
I mean, I don't know who it was before, really. Well, before, I didn't necessarily start with natural horsemanship because I had a super challenging horse. She was. It was my first own horse, and she was pretty challenging.
This is the one you did show jumping with in Switzerland?
Yeah. But I got into natural horsemanship because I was studying tourism management and public relations.
Oh, cool.
In college, and at the time I'd been out of horses for 5 years because I was traveling the world snowboarding, and we had to do an internship, and I ended up doing my internship in the Swiss Parelli office.
Oh, cool.
And I'd heard about Parelli, like you hear about Linda Tellington-Jones or Monty Roberts, but I really had no idea what it was all about, especially from a personal development or personal growth aspect. And I also did not have any clue what's possible with horses. Like, liberty, that's something you do when you grow up in a circus family. Generations and generations of circus artists. So that was a huge turnaround or change in my life. And you know how sometimes you look back and like, I wonder what would have happened had I done my internship somewhere else. You know? So for sure. And then several people within the Parelli program, Wally Gegenschutz, he's a very high level instructor and show jumper. In Switzerland, I spent a lot of time with him, with Mikey Wanson-Reed as well. Very famous for Liberty performances as well. And then I had the opportunity to ride with Walter Settle on several occasions.
Oh, wow.
Both here in the US and in Europe. So he's been a good influence for sure. And similar to my show jumping coach as well, from a very classical background of dressage or any kind of horse training, where you know it's okay to take a break and pet your horse, and
it's not the drilling that you typically see.
Exactly, and you can have a conversation like that. And then I had a chance to ride with Doug Jordan, a cutting horse trainer that has spent time with Ray Hunt on several occasions. So kind of melting the professional or performance world, I should say, with natural horsemanship. Those have been my greatest influences, really. And because of how I got into natural horsemanship and the somewhat limited horse experience that I had beforehand, it wasn't necessarily a radical change from what I did before. Like, growing up in Switzerland, you don't necessarily have horses in your backyard like here in Florida, because it's a very small country and there's a lot of people there. And so unless you're a farmer with lots of acreage or a millionaire with lots of acreage, you don't just have horses in your backyard. So I started taking riding lessons when I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
In a very conventional riding school, and the instructor would throw pitchforks at us and yell at us, make bad jokes, and you knew exactly, that little halflinger at the canter would throw you off in the third corner, and that horse there, you couldn't even go into its stall because he would attack you. So it was a rough start.
That's exciting.
But I loved lots of little girls. I loved horses, and I stuck with it. And I mean, we would, because again, it's a very small country, lots of people, lots of traffic. So in the summer we would go on trail rides, which meant crossing major highways and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And people, horses and humans, got into all kinds of wrecks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And it really kind of rattled my confidence. Not that I had a ton. I mean,
how old were you at that time when you were going on those trail rides? Like, you were 9?
No, probably 11,
okay.
12.
So still pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, I did the classical thing. You start out on the lunge line and you do all kinds of exercises for balance and whatnot. And then I did some vaulting too, because they recommended that was good for your balance and feel and timing. And then did some, dabble around with some jumping and dressage like you would at that age. And so then I met a girl in high school. Well, we kind of start high school at 12, 13. And she had Icelandic horses.
Oh, wow.
Not because they were millionaires, but because her dad was one of the first ones to import Icelandic horses from Iceland to Germany and then also Switzerland.
Oh, cool.
And they're so cute and fluffy, and you're close to the ground, and when they run, they don't run very far or very fast. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I got to start riding with her.
Oh, fun.
And for several years, and then always sought out lease horses that were Icelandic horses, because I mean, I still didn't have my own horse or anything, nor did I have the funds or even an opportunity to do that. And then I was out of horses for 5 years because of the snowboarding, and then got back into horses with the Parelli program and natural horsemanship. And because it was an internship that I was doing, they didn't pay me that much, but they gave me one of the home study programs with the videotapes, or was it DVDs? I shouldn't be dating myself like that.
We'll say DVDs.
Some audio-visual stuff, and the theory book and the little booklets that you would put in your back
I
pockets.
remember that.
And a Swiss mountain horse to use or lease, and they're like shorter, kind of more stockier, drafty horses, and that's how I got started with natural horsemanship, and watched the video and took the booklet to the barn and went step by step, and
that's so cool.
So yeah. And the rest is history.
Then you came here and took over. No. But in a good way.
Totally. Yeah. Changed from jot person to jeans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No more show jumping. No more jockey.
Well, and to this day, I still sometimes ride like this because I am an English rider by upbringing, and I still ride even my quarter horse English once a week or so, just to kind of stay with the program, and I think it's really good for my riding. And then on other occasions I ride like this.
The woman of many hats.
Yeah.
Can do many things. And then sometimes you probably ride, I don't know if you'd say ride, with a board on your feet.
Yeah.
You're not riding horses.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm getting pulled around on a snowboard by a horse with a rider.
What is that called?
I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but skijoring.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah,
one of the many talents of Elli.
Well, it's fun to be able to blend the two passions for snow sports or snowboarding and horses. And sometimes they have a switcheroo division in those races.
Oh,
where
really?
One day you ride the horse and pull your partner. And then the next day you switch, and then your partner rides, and you get pulled over jumps and through gates.
And the horse is like cantering as you're getting pulled over, or trotting as you're getting pulled over the jumps.
Yeah, my little quarter horse, she likes to go slow.
Like, come on.
But some of the other roping horses, they go point to point.
So you have to be ready.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how fun. Well, it's been so fun talking to you, Elli. I've known you for quite a few years, but just hearing more about your story, and I always love learning about what drives people and just the experiences they've had. So thank you so much for sharing that with us in part 1 of your interview.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Is there going to be a part 2?
There is. So please stay tuned for when we meet again with Elli Pospischil. Pospischil. There we go. For part 2 of the Instructor Chronicles Raw and Uncut. Thank you so much, Elli.
Thank you, Courtney.